Imagine discovering an entire city hidden beneath the ground. Not a small underground shelter, not a single tunnel, but a massive network of rooms, corridors, storage chambers, wells, churches, and living spaces buried deep beneath the landscape of central Turkey. And perhaps the most astonishing part? Thousands of people may once have lived inside it. This is Derinkuyu, one of the deepest ancient underground settlements ever discovered. Its tunnels descend far beneath the surface. Massive stone doors could be rolled across passages to seal entire sections. Ventilation shafts carried air deep underground. And hidden chambers provided places for people to sleep, work, worship, and survive. But why was an entire city built beneath the earth? Who created it? And what were its inhabitants hiding from? For centuries, the answers remained buried. Then, archaeologists began exploring the tunnels and discovered that Derinkuyu was far more complex than anyone expected. Tonight, we descend beneath the surface to uncover the mystery of one of the ancient world's most extraordinary underground cities of the ancient world. The story of Derinkuyu begins in central Turkey, in a region known as Cappadocia. Today, Cappadocia is famous for its dramatic landscapes, towering rock formations, and valleys filled with strange stone structures. But beneath this beautiful landscape lies another world, a world hidden from the surface. In the 1960s, a local resident made an extraordinary discovery while renovating his home. Behind a wall, he found a hidden opening. Beyond it was a narrow passage leading into darkness. At first, it may have seemed like a simple underground room, but the passage continued and continued. The deeper explorers went, the more chambers they discovered. Rooms, storage areas, tunnels, wells, ventilation shafts, and eventually, an entire underground complex. What had been hidden behind one wall was connected to a vast subterranean network. The discovery revealed that the ground beneath the town was not simply solid rock. It contained a carefully engineered underground environment. And Derinkuyu was only beginning to reveal its secrets.
As researchers explored Derinkuyu, one question became impossible to ignore. How deep did it actually go? The underground city extends through multiple levels beneath the surface. Passageways connect rooms and chambers, while narrow stairways lead deeper underground. The lower levels contain wells and other infrastructure designed to support life below the surface. One of the most impressive features is the ventilation system. Vertical shafts allowed fresh air to travel through the underground complex. Without such ventilation, large numbers of people could never have survived deep beneath the ground. The city also contains spaces for food storage, livestock, living quarters, and religious activity. There were areas that could accommodate large groups of people, along with narrow passages that could be defended against intruders. The deeper researchers went, the clearer it became that this was not simply a collection of caves. It had been deliberately organized. Someone had designed an underground environment with survival in mind.
But there is another clue hidden in the geology. Much of Cappadocia is made from a soft volcanic rock called tuff. Thousands of years ago, powerful volcanic eruptions covered the region with layers of ash. Over time, that ash hardened into rock. But tuff is unusual. It is strong enough to hold underground chambers, yet soft enough to be carved with relatively simple tools. This geological accident may have made Cappadocia uniquely suited for underground construction. Ancient builders could carve tunnels and rooms into the rock, then reinforce important areas where necessary. But creating a city this large would still have required enormous effort. Imagine working underground with limited light, removing tons of rock,
and carefully planning ventilation and structural stability. There were no modern excavators, no electric lights, no concrete reinforcement systems. Yet the builders created a complex subterranean environment that could remain hidden for centuries. The geology made it possible. Human engineering made it real.
Perhaps the most mysterious features of Derinkuyu are its enormous circular stone doors. These massive stones could be moved across passages, blocking access to deeper sections of the underground city. From the outside, an intruder might find a sealed passage, but from inside, the inhabitants could control access. This raises an obvious question. What were they afraid of? The stone doors suggest that security was extremely important. If danger approached from the surface, people could retreat underground, seal the entrances, and disappear. The narrow passages created another advantage. Large groups of attackers would struggle to move through them. The underground architecture itself became a defensive system. But Derinkuyu was not designed simply as a fortress. People needed food, water, air, places to sleep, and somewhere to care for children and the elderly. So the city appears to have been designed for something much more complicated: temporary underground survival. A place where communities could disappear from the surface and remain hidden for extended periods. So, who lived inside Derinkuyu? This is where the mystery becomes more complicated. The underground city was used and modified over many centuries. Different civilizations occupied Cappadocia, and the underground spaces changed with them. Early underground chambers may have served different purposes from the later Christian-era spaces. By the Byzantine period, parts of Cappadocia were home to Christian communities. Some underground settlements were used as places of refuge during periods of conflict and persecution. Religious spaces were carved into the rock. Rooms were adapted for worship. Storage chambers protected food and supplies. And hidden passages allowed people to move between different sections. But it would be a mistake to imagine thousands of people permanently living underground. The evidence suggests these places were used in different ways at different times. Sometimes as shelters, sometimes for storage, sometimes as places of refuge, and sometimes as temporary living environments. The underground city was not frozen in one moment of history. It evolved, generation after generation. But surviving underground creates two enormous problems: water and air. Without either, an underground city becomes a tomb. Derinkuyu contains wells and water systems that helped support life below the surface. Some shafts extended deep into the underground structure. But water had to be protected. If an enemy could poison a water source, the entire community could be threatened. Air was equally important. The ventilation shafts at Derinkuyu are among the city's most impressive features. They connected different levels, allowing air to circulate through the complex. Even deep underground, people could breathe. This doesn't mean the system was perfect. Life below the surface would have been difficult. Smoke, heat, crowding, disease, and limited natural light would have created enormous challenges. Yet the builders understood something fundamental. If people needed to disappear underground, the environment had to support them. Derinkuyu was therefore not just a collection of tunnels. It was a survival system. Imagine entering Derinkuyu at night with nothing but a small flame lighting your path. The surface world disappears behind you. You descend, step after step, through narrow passages carved into volcanic rock. Around you are rooms where people once lived. Storage chambers filled with supplies. Spaces where animals were kept. Religious rooms, work areas, and passages disappearing into darkness. There is something psychologically powerful about Derinkuyu. The city was designed to hide. From the surface,
almost nothing reveals what exists below. No massive towers, no monumental walls, no enormous gates. The architecture is invisible. Its greatest defense was secrecy. And perhaps that is why the underground cities of Cappadocia remained so mysterious for so long. The people who built and used them left behind surprisingly little information explaining exactly why every chamber existed. The tunnels remain, but many of the original stories are gone.
But one question continues to haunt researchers. Why build something this enormous? There is no single answer. Cappadocia experienced invasions, wars, political instability, and religious conflict throughout its long history. An underground refuge could provide protection during dangerous periods. But the origins of the earliest underground construction remain debated. Some traditions connect parts of the underground cities with very ancient civilizations. However, archaeologists are cautious about assigning the entire complex to one mysterious ancient people. Derinkuyu was likely the result of multiple phases of construction and modification. Different communities, different centuries, different needs. What we see today is the product of a long history of adaptation. And that may actually be more fascinating than the idea of a single lost civilization. Because Derinkuyu shows us something very human. When people face danger, they adapt. They use the environment around them. They create shelter. They protect their families. And sometimes, they build entire worlds beneath their feet.
The real mystery of Derinkuyu is not that an unknown civilization built an impossible underground city. The truth is more remarkable. People living in Cappadocia, generation after generation, learned how to use the volcanic landscape to survive. They carved rooms from rock, created ventilation systems, protected water supplies, stored food, built defensive barriers, and transformed the underground into a place where human communities could survive periods of danger. Derinkuyu is a reminder that ancient engineering was not always about monuments. Sometimes, the greatest achievements were hidden, buried beneath ordinary homes, beneath streets, beneath fields, and beneath the landscapes we thought we understood. Today, only a portion of Cappadocia's underground world has been fully explored. There may still be chambers, passages, and connections waiting to be understood. And perhaps that is the most fascinating thought of all. We may be standing on history without realizing what is directly beneath our feet.
Thousands of years of history hidden beneath the surface. Derinkuyu reminds us that the ancient world was far more complex than it sometimes appears. Its builders left behind no modern blueprints, no detailed construction manuals, and no complete explanation of why every tunnel was created. What remains is the evidence carved into the rock. A hidden city built for survival. A world beneath a world. And perhaps somewhere beneath Cappadocia, there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden side of history, subscribe to the Hidden Epoch. Because the past is not always buried in museums. Sometimes it is buried beneath our feet.